Okay, we are live, so be careful. Anything you may say can be used against you anywhere.
Okay,
Figured I had to say that. All right, let's get back to work. Ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, here we go.
Oh, shut off email.
Oh, wait a minute. Okay, we're going to start that again.
I'm sorry. Okay.
I don't want to mute you because the last time I mute you, I couldn't get you back.
Okay, I'll shut up.
So I'll try it again. I'll try the mute and then I'll bring you back, and that way, do what you need to do.
I'm
Okay.
done. I shut off my email.
All right. Well, I'm still going to mute you anyway, so I can get through this. So I can at least practice when you guys are really here. Okay, the rest of you, that is. All right, let's do this.
Hello? Are you ready? Then we'll begin.
Did you miss us? We're back, and we've got a lot of things to talk about in an hour, so we're really going to get to this. This is Monday Morning Catholic, episode 40.
6:30 Monday morning. I'm here hiding in my bed. A song plays on my alarm clock as I cover up my head.
After the last couple of weeks I've been through, don't you dare cover up your head. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is another edition of Monday Morning Catholic. I'm your host and moderator, Joanne Mercier the Weary, and it's been quite a few weeks being the Director of Religious Education at St. Martha and Mary in Lakeville, just trying to get a new program put together. That's why I wasn't here last week, and I'm very, very sorry. I had a full panel here with me last week, and now, well, I just have Linda. And it's Linda Reed from St. Thomas's in Providence, Rhode Island. Good morning, Linda. How you doing?
Good morning, Joanne. Your faithful sidekick is here.
Yes. And believe me, I had all kinds of other music that, other songs, and I couldn't get them on my cart before today's show. So
Okay.
it would have been comical. But then again, sometimes I think my comedy is overrated.
No.
With what I try to do. I got to apologize to everybody for the last minute notice last week. I was just up to my earballs, earlobes and eyeballs in trying to finish up what I needed to do for our Generations of Faith program, and I had to call it. In fact, I'll tell the story, and I didn't tell it to Linda before we started. I had brought everything with me to my office, and because we've done podcasts from the road before, and we've done podcasts from my offices before, so I figured, all right, fine, we can do a podcast. I'll do it quickly, and then I'll get back to work. I had everything with me, but the power cords. You can't run this stuff without the power cords. So that was it.
Yes.
And at 12 o'clock, I said, there's no way I'll be back home. So we had to really can it. And it was a good thing, too, because I was able to get everything that needed to be done. So, but I apologize. That's not the way we like to do it. And again, until I can teach that one over there how to run it, how to do it on the Google Plus Hangout, and then I'll take care of the rest later. I
don't have all your equipment, Joanne.
You don't need it. And this will be a tutorial right now for everybody who wants to do a Google Plus Hangout. All you need is your computer, a microphone, and the screen. Okay?
What are all the buttons that you push?
The other buttons that I push are really for the audio recording and to add things like, the bumpers.
Okay.
You're not going to have
okay.
that. You won't have that stuff, okay? But I can put it in post-production for the audio crowd.
Well, let's face it, Joanne, we're just not as scintillating without you.
Oh, yes, you are, and I know you are, and that's the whole thing. I do know that you are, and if something like that happens again, I've got to come over now that you have your beautiful new iMac.
Yes.
And show you how easy this is.
Okay.
Because you can, like I said, Google Plus, the Hangout will handle everything.
Wow.
We'll upload it to YouTube.
Wow.
That's what it does. Then what I would do is take it off of YouTube, take out the audio. That's the stuff I know how to do.
Okay.
Audio, put in all the little bumpers where I find it funny,
Yeah.
and then, or add my 2 cents in.
Yeah.
I actually can if I want to, and then send it off for the audio crowd. So the video folks would get you guys unfiltered.
Unembellished.
Unembellished, raw, so to speak. And then
Monday Morning Catholic Raw.
yeah, that would be hysterical. That would be hysterical. But what will happen then is, and then I can play post-production, but this way we're not missing a week. Because we had just missed a week 2 weeks earlier. I think that's what was more my concern.
Yeah.
That we had missed the
Well, we were on vacation.
Yeah, it was a planned one. That was a really planned one, but this one
Right.
was not. So I felt kind of bad, but
Okay, I did miss it though last week.
yeah, we'd like to know.
Kind of used to doing this,
Yeah, but here's what bothers me. No one sent us feedback to say we missed you. Which I don't know what that means.
That just means nobody was listening. That's all.
Right. Nobody really cared. So, okay, fine. Thank you. If you missed us, please let us know because, again, we're all busy and we have better things to do if nobody's really paying attention. But I think there are, and I think I saw a couple of things on the on our website that people kept coming to see if anything was gonna.
Okay.
I think some people were kind of hoping we would do the wedding podcast.
Oh yes,
promised.
Yes. Which we have to do yet. We have
to schedule.
Yes.
We have to schedule that at a date and time where none of us are busy.
Yeah.
Notice how we said that together. Yeah.
Right. I don't think that exists.
No, I don't think it does either.
Maybe a week somewhere in the middle of July. Maybe.
We've got to do it earlier because we promised now.
And I know we have to do it earlier. But
and after today's, I have an awful feeling we might have to do a funeral one.
Oh dear. Okay.
So, before we get into this other stuff, let's do what we usually do when we gather here each week, and that's to look back at the previous weekend's liturgies and try to make some sense of everything that goes on. So,
good idea.
Of course, she doesn't have one, but I do. Grab your favorite cup of whatever, which is water again. Water, it is.
It is.
And right now, with all the talking I've been doing and I still have a confirmation orientation tonight. So, Monday, I've got to do an orientation. If it's Monday, it's orientation. But I've done so much talking in the last 2 weeks that water's been my best friend. That's about all I can handle, that and tea.
Yeah.
So grab your favorite cup of whatever and join us, and hopefully two of us don't usually go off the rails, but I have a feeling with the lineup we put together today, God only knows what
we might. You never know.
Probably could.
Hey.
It could be interesting. But then let us begin, as our friend in the beginning says, with how does it look from your side of the world? Our one feedback play.
Yay!
Yes, we do get we do get feedback. Unfortunately, this feedback was from 2 weeks ago. So this is the last word on the last word from 2 weeks ago. If you remember correctly, it was the exaltation of the Holy Cross.
Right.
And our listener, Beth Ann, says to us, "Hi, MMC. I've really enjoyed your podcast the last few weeks and wanted to send you some feedback on some of the things you talked about on this week's show." So her basically is she wanted to kind of clue in on the homily section. She says, "My homily this week, our priest took a really interesting perspective on the cross. He talked about all the crosses we deal with in life. He talked about an episode of Undercover Boss. Now, do you watch Undercover Boss?
I've seen it.
You ever seen
Yeah,
that
I don't
show?
watch it regularly, but I've seen one or two.
We've watched it on and off. That and Shark Tank
Uh-huh.
is another kind of very interesting show. I love these reality shows. Not, except for competitions. And this was the Undercover Boss episode about the owner of Frontier Airlines. And the CEO is a very devout Catholic. And on the show, he openly talked about his faith and their family and how being Catholic has helped him in life. Grace was very impressed that this was being talked about on TV. He also mentioned things that happened in his life, like his brother became paralyzed as a young adult, and how he dealt with that cross in his life. I thought it was really interesting to look at the take a look at the cross and how we live our lives as Catholics. And then she has a thought on the Downcast app, because I was talking about apps a couple weeks ago. She likes it, but the problem is there's a version on the Mac and it's $10. It's $9.99. And I'm not buying it either, Beth Ann. Because I'm hoping, I'm going to talk a little bit about iOS 8 a little bit later on and bore everyone who's a Windows or an Android person. But I love to be able to sync everything, but not when I've spent $2.99 on one, $2.99 on the other, and now another $9. No. Too expensive, because it comes like $20. So I'll go back to fiddling with with the Apple Podcast app until I break it again, like I did the last time. But thank you. She says she hopes we have a good week and to keep up the good work. Thank you, Beth Ann.
Thank you, Beth Ann. It's nice to hear from you.
We appreciate hearing things from your side of the world. And I would never, it's nice to hear that presiders and preachers are using everyday stuff, because you can find, everyday examples. Okay, not everybody may watch Undercover Boss, but enough of us have. And I'm always a good one for kind of blending it into pop culture, because I think that's Jesus did that with parables. Parables were the references to pop culture of the day, probably.
Yeah.
So I may be wrong with that. Correct me if I am, but
well, no. I mean, look who he used. He used shepherds. He used a man with children. That pretty much covered 75% of them.
There you go. He used tax collectors, prostitutes.
Tax collectors, prostitutes. That's the other 25%. So
caught everybody else too.
Yes.
So, but
I mean, look at his parables: the Pharisee and the tax collector. So that they were the pop culture of his time.
Yeah, I really do believe they were. So to be able to use that kind of stuff as tie-ins with the homiletics, with the scriptures, I think makes it more real for people, rather than, it's up here somewhere.
Yeah.
And we can't attain it because we're like the lowly Luddites down here. I love using the term Luddites, but very few people know what it means. I try not to. I use it sparingly.
Hey, it's a good one.
Well, we hope you will send us more feedback, like Beth Ann and our friend John in Yakima. So if you want to do that, and you do frequent our website, please do so at mondaymorningcatholic.net. You can leave something in the comment box there. You can send us an email, as they do, at mondaymorningcatholic@gmail.com. Comes right to me. You can leave it on Facebook for the world to see if you're so inclined. Facebook.com/mondaymorningcatholic. Or you can call the feedback line. Now, the feedback line's been a little quiet lately. Even the annoying, crank callers aren't calling the feedback line. Probably because I run through the number as I've been told. So here's the number: 774-955-0659.
All right.
That's 774-955-0659. If anybody's curious, that is actually a Massachusetts area code. So, because Rhode Island ran out. And I won't even go there right now. Rhode Island ran out. So we had to get one from Massachusetts. So please, send us some feedback. Tell us what's happening on your side of the world with your homilies. And if you're taking down notes in Mass, please be careful. Use your use your recorder on your phone, because I don't want all these people sitting in church and saying, "Well, they told us on Monday Morning Catholic to just type out the, take notes." Please, I don't want some bishop writing me. Please don't do that.
Please don't take notes on the homily.
Yeah. Okay, so do us a favor. Try to remember like we do, sort of, or put the record on. As long as you don't put it up anywhere else, no one's going to care. Least of all, you're probably your homilist. Yeah. All right, moving right along, since we have lots to talk about.
Do you hear what I hear?
Let's get to the meat of it all. Do you hear what I hear for the 26th Sunday in Ordinary Time? We all heard the same readings, unless someone was doing RCIA this week. None of us, but unless someone was. But the homiletic interpretations certainly are different. Now, just to let you know, Linda and I went to the same place this weekend. Hopefully, I will recall anything that I heard from Father Barron yesterday on the drive home from work. But, hey, and this will happen, where we're going to hear the same thing. I was supposed to be in another place today, and that didn't happen, thankfully, because after the marathon, my health took a little bit of a hit. So I'll just say that much. Yeah. My health took a little bit of a hit, so I appreciate not having to do too much today, which is really godsend. So let's look at the readings for this past weekend. We had Ezekiel 8. We seem to be going back and forth between Ezekiel and Isaiah. They seem to be bouncing back and forth here. And this week is Ezekiel, and I love when you have a piece of scripture that starts out with, "The Lord's way is not fair."
Yeah, really.
I almost want to say, no kidding.
Yeah.
I wish I was reading that. I wish I was the lector this week. Because that would have been comical. No, the Lord's way is not our way.
Fair.
Okay, it's not fair. It isn't, and it's hard. And people think it's, that God should be, please, what's every prayer? Please God, I need. Do this, type of thing. But, Ezekiel's trying to say, if you're going to follow the way of the Lord, it's not fair. You're just going to have to do, if you really profess, then you're going to have to do.
But as the Lord says back to the speaker, is it my way that's not fair, or is it your way? If you turn from virtue and commit if you turn from the Lord and commit iniquity, you will die. Okay?
There you go.
We've been warned.
So it's as easy as that.
Yes.
This is simple. This is very simple.
If you follow my way and not commit iniquity,
right,
or turn from your sins back to my way, then you will live. What's so hard about that?
Really? Here we have what's your choice?
Yes. But being human beings, we want to do it our way.
Oh, yeah.
God's way.
Oh, yeah.
I want it all.
Yeah, I want it all.
Yep.
That's right. Now.
Isn't that the mantra of the world right now?
Yes, it is.
It is.
I want it all, and I want it now, and I want it first.
Well, that if you want it first, go ahead. But I usually don't get first in line for anything anymore, not even an iPhone. So that isn't going to happen. Psalm 25 was the proper psalm of the day. Remember your mercies, O Lord, with that refrain. Thank you for doing David Haas.
Yes.
I
really like that one. I really like that setting of his.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites, and for a very long time with me.
The verse is nice. It enables the cantor to actually get the thought across.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we use that.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. Philippians, we're going to be in Philippians for a little bit.
Yes.
And
we once again heard.
If you heard the long reading today.
Yes, which we did.
Version, which I could have gone for once. My liturgical sense said you could really go either way on this.
Yeah.
Depending on where you were, what you wanted to preach on.
Well, Father John wanted the long reading.
He wanted the long one, but this is one of those few occasions which you could actually make a case for the short reading.
Mm-hmm.
We had just heard that 2 weeks ago at the Exaltation of the Cross.
Right.
And had we not had that feast, that solemnity, we would not have heard it. And yes, then I would have said, you got to do the long version. But since we had, I was kind of like, well, you do the short version.
Yeah.
If you're not preaching on Philippians at all.
But he wanted to do the long version because he liked the way it kind of built into his homily.
Right. And of course, I was stuck with the do nothing out of selfishness.
Yes.
Again, with the you can't do for others if you're
selfish.
Right.
If you're just out for you.
Yeah, you're always out for you.
Yeah.
In some way, shape, or form. And then Matthew. Of course, we're going to be in Matthew for the rest of the year.
Yes.
We're into 21 now, and it's the parable.
A man had 2 sons. Okay, which one is this?
Another one.
There's a lot of the man had 2 sons. You know.
Another man had 2 sons. Are you sure this isn't the same 2 sons?
Yes, is the prodigal son maybe?
Yeah, because you never know where that's going to land. It's
right.
Which one is this?
But this man had 2 sons.
But when I get to talking about Father Barron, he talks about this as taking spiritual responsibility.
Uh-huh.
Which I thought was a very interesting term.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about, I know I do a lot right now, especially with dealing with parents and stuff, trying to get them to, accountability. And now I'm hearing this from Father Barron. Yeah. I was yelling at as I was driving home yesterday, I was yelling at the iPod that was, running this going, okay, I get it. Thanks a lot. So I'll comment more about that when I talk about it. But I'll let you talk.
We'll get there.
But I'll let you talk about what our pastor had to say.
Okay. So, the man had 2 sons. One son said, I will go to the vineyard, and never went. And the other one said, I won't go to the vineyard, but then later on changed his mind and went. Which one did the Father's will? Okay? So, this is what our pastor had to say. He started out by saying that this gospel laid out one of his pet peeves. And that pet peeve was, I hate it. Now, and this is coming from a pastor, so you can understand. I hate it when somebody says they're going to do something and they don't do it.
Hear, hear.
He said, it drives me nuts. And of course, I can tell even on a family level. When you have 4 people living in a house and somebody says, I'll do that, and they don't do it, it leads to not very good feelings.
Right, but I know parents have an issue with this when they tell their children, if you do this, I'm going to do that. If they don't do it,
that's right.
The child then thinks that they can get away with anything.
Yes. So he says he hearkened back to his father, who's, I don't know, my father used to say it too, do what I say, not what I do.
Yeah, I thought it was only Portuguese fathers at that point.
No,
my father said that too.
Italian fathers say it too, yes.
Yeah.
But especially with, never mind, we won't go there. Anyway, so he says, if you say you're going to do something, follow through. And then he goes to say that, and this is actually one of my pet peeves, and that is that your actions speak louder than your words. There's a lot of people who will say, "Oh, you're my friend. I'll do anything for you," and then when push comes to shove, they're not there.
Oh, experience that.
Yes. There are people who say, I love you, I love you, I love you. And then their actions say something else completely.
Oh, I've experienced that.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. You know? These are things we've all experienced. And then he hearkened back at this point to the second reading where in it describes exactly, that is exactly what Jesus did not do.
Right.
He said
exactly.
he came to take away the sins of the world, and he did it. He did not deem equality with God, but accepted death, even death on a cross, as we talked about a couple of weeks ago, the worst possible kind of death known at that time. And therefore his actions magnified and endorsed the words that he spoke to us. And then he went to the family level, which, you know, hits everybody. How often do you say something and you don't follow through? I'll be there at the game tonight, son.
Right.
And then you get tied up at work and you're not there. Or I'll be at your dance recital or your piano recital.
And that's where I wanted to get Cats in the Cradle in the.
And so, yes.
I was going to put Cats in the Cradle in the bumper, and it's what I was thinking of.
That's the truth. It's the
is.
truth. I'd love to get together, but I'm just too busy. I'm going to pray more often, Lord. I promise I'm going to pray. And then you get to the end of the day, and oh God, I'm tired. You understand, right?
I gotta interject here, though. I guess I must have a very weird prayer life. Because, no, seriously, and I've said this to spiritual directors before, because let me preface this. I just talk to God all day.
Yeah.
And one of my spiritual directors did say, and you're telling me that's not prayer?
Yeah.
But I guess as a Catholic or as a Christian, that I see prayer as something not so.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee.
No, not so much formulary, but you actually take time and sit down somewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe it's my ADHD squirrel that doesn't allow me to do that.
Yeah.
Because I tend to have running conversations.
Yes.
During the day with God. So when I hear something like that, I'm going, should I really be spending more time, or am I okay?
You're spending enough time, you know. I just
wonder. That's
what
all.
He's talking about are, I think, you know, people who don't pray at all, you know, during the day. But the only way they can pray is to make 5 minutes, you know, or 10 minutes.
Right.
Sit down and read a page, maybe. If that's how. Some people don't know how to pray. Some people don't know how to talk to God all day. And they need a structure.
Right.
And they need to set aside time because that's who they are.
And I need less structure.
They're not, you know.
And I need less structure because I have so much structure in other places.
Well, there you go. Yeah. And I think that's what he was talking about.
I think.
You know,
I didn't want to go too far afield on that, but
but
it's a pet peeve of mine, I guess. Yeah. Like, am I really praying enough all day, or?
Yeah, of course you are.
Thank you. Thank you for telling me that.
Yeah, like I'm the be all and end all, but.
Hey, I can say Linda said, you know.
Linda said I'm praying enough. Yes. Well, what is prayer anyway but dialogue with God?
Well, that's what I was taught.
That's what prayer is. So, you know, if you're dialoguing all day, you're definitely praying enough.
Yeah, except those times when I'm saying, God, please get this jerk out of my way.
Yes.
Work.
Before I do violence.
Yes, other than that, it is.
Yes. And
sorry, I didn't mean to stop your train.
No. And then the last example that he gave was couples. Saying, yes, we'll spend more time together. But I have to clean the garage. I have to fix the sink. I have to, you know.
I didn't dare look at my husband
you know. One thing he didn't say was, I have to play golf. You know.
Mine used to play golf and wants to play golf again, so golf was never the problem.
That's where mine is today, anyway.
Mine's outside doing.
Well, he's doing what he should be doing. See?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so he finishes up by saying our intentions are good. It's the follow through that we have trouble with, and that it's a challenge. And in the end, that we're not really one son or the other. We're really both sons.
We really are, yeah.
Sometimes we have all the best intentions and we say yes, 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 and it doesn't happen. And sometimes we just say, you know what? No, I can't do that. So, and then you turn around and say, yeah, I can.
Yep.
So, we're really both sons, and we must try to be people who both say yes and mean it. That how we wound up.
It was almost the same vein as Father Barron.
Well, I should tell him, because that's a good thing.
Seriously, but I mean, if you know Father Robert Barron from WordOnFire.org,
yes, I do.
And if you're not downloading his sermon every week, why? Why
should.
not?
Yeah.
He talked really a lot on the taking of spiritual responsibility, and he really wove all three readings in. Well, no, more Ezekiel and Matthew. I cannot quite remember if he was tying in Philippians. However, our Father John at the parish did. He did Philippians and Matthew. He did with Ezekiel.
He didn't do much with Ezekiel, no.
No, he didn't. That's okay, because you did a fine job there earlier. But the taking of spiritual responsibility. If we as Christians say that we're going to follow Jesus, okay, and we don't, we're just as bad as because we have to be known by our actions, and that's what he was saying. You know people who can talk a talk and not walk a walk, and that's the thing. It's not so much what you say. Sometimes it's always what you do or don't do, and I'm a big proponent of that. That I over the years. The people who know me know that my bark is worse than my bite. But they also know that I will bite if I have to.
Yeah.
And, if I don't follow, and I've been also told, you have too many convictions. Okay, you know what? I've learned to take that as a badge of honor anymore.
Yes.
That, okay, I have my convictions, right or wrong, I'll find out on the last day whether or not, because I've kind of rooted them in my belief system and in my faith and what I've read and in how I feel I'm being empowered by the Spirit. So yeah, there will be times where I will bite, I will bark loudly, because I'm Portuguese. I can't keep it in. It doesn't work that way. I have to say it. But if I have to go and do it, I do it. And sometimes it's a good thing, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's, but no one likes confrontation.
No.
No one likes to have to put it on the line. I had a friend who asked me, we were talking about this whole beheading with the ISIS stuff a couple of weeks ago, and someone said to me, who is not very active in their faith, said to me, what would you do? What would you do if they were standing there and saying to you, you're either going to die, or wouldn't you just lie and say it so that you could live and keep spreading the word? And I kind of looked at them and said, you know what? I said, I hope I'm never in that position.
Yeah.
I said, but let me tell you something. I don't think I could live with myself if I chickened out.
Yeah.
I said, I hope I'd have the courage to go through and say, no, I am a Christian. Do what you have to do. And that's a scary thing to have to think about.
Sure it is.
But that is doing this spiritual responsibility. Saying what, making what you say, what is it?
What you do.
What is it? It's the walking the talk. You just don't say it for the heck of it. You have to walk the talk.
It's it. Words are meaningless unless they're followed up by actions.
Exactly.
You can say anything, and you can say it very easily and very facilely. But to show it is a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, and it's funny how when you have to deal with stuff, you know, and you ask God for the strength for it, He gives it to you. And it was funny. It was funny because the reading I was using, this Generations that we just did was on the Mass. And, of course, with every festival we have a Mass that it's attached to. So they have to come back to Mass on October 12th. Now, I'm previewing October 12th right now. But the reading from Philippians then is, I can do all things in Him who strengthens me. And I use that as my platform to step off of for this Generations. I've had 9 weeks to pull something together. You know, thankfully, it's done with a village. Because if our sister parishes in Middleborough and Rochester hadn't already had their lesson plan, I would have had to concentrate on that and not on the actual physicalities of everything and the all, you know, the Martha stuff.
Yeah.
They took care of the Mary. You know, I was able to take care of the Martha. So that when people walked in this week, one of the things we have constantly heard back from them is, my goodness, it was organized. Everybody, you knew what to expect. She was very clear. She moved from it. Yeah, that was the goal.
Yeah.
Not walk into chaos, because these people some of them had only heard about it 2 weeks before, 1 day before, because they are in various stages of, I didn't know what was going on. Yeah. Although this has been going on since last May. So, well, and this is the church. The church moves.
Yes.
Church moves. So that's the kind of thing. I had to walk my talk, which was, I will make them come in. This will not be chaos. They will, you know, we will be orderly. We will do what we need to do. Yeah. And I had to do it. And I had to make sure that it happened at all costs.
All right.
And I had the staff was phenomenal in helping me out in any way they could to make it happen. Everybody pitched in a piece of it. Now we have to look for volunteers to take this over because the staff can't be doing it all the time. But at least we got the first one off the ground.
All right.
Intent.
Yay.
So again, I do all things in Him who strengthens me.
Yes. Yes.
And not out of selfishness, you know. But I did give myself maybe 2 minutes. Saturday night when I finally sat down and said, I think it went okay. It okay. So that's what it's taking responsibility. But there were times when I've said to God, absolutely not. I'm not doing this. Yeah. Then do it. And then I've also been okay, God, I'll make sure I do this. And it was I forget.
Yeah. Yeah.
So please, if you're not listening to Father Barron, just do it.
Yeah.
Okay, just start listening to him because he can be way up here, but he's wonderful. I love him.
Yeah, he is. I think actually he can be very erudite, but
I like that erudite.
Erudite, yes.
You're an English teacher.
Yeah, an old English major here. Yep. But he can also be very accessible.
Oh, I'm not saying he's like way above, but he's a seminary prof. He also runs a seminary now.
Right.
So, expect a level of bringing yourself up a rung so that you know what I mean? Raise yourself up a little and if you don't understand all these words like erudite, look them up.
Listen with a pencil in your hand.
There you go. Listen with a pencil. I like that.
And if you hear him say something you don't know, look it up. Goodness sakes, it's right at your fingertips nowadays. You don't even have to walk to find an encyclopedia.
Let me tell you something. It's nothing like watching parents. We gave them all placemats and on the placemats is usually something to do during dinner because we feed them. And it was one of these match the picture with the word. Out came the phones.
Oh,
Googling.
I love it.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun, but it was interesting just to watch who would do that, and then who would try to catch one of the priests walking by, going, Father, could you just tell me?
Yeah.
No.
But it's even with the phones, it's a learning thing.
It is.
I mean, it's a tool to learn.
Yeah, it is. It is.
So,
when you're not playing Candy Crush, it's when you're not playing Candy Crush. Yeah.
It's a tool to learn. I mean, my husband, the professor, is technically to say he's technically challenged is being kind. Okay.
All right.
He's not into technology in any way, shape, or form. He's the only person in his department that does not have a phone.
Wow.
Cell phone. He does not have a cell phone because he doesn't know what in the world to do with it. So, but I bought him an iPad for his birthday, and he uses it because he uses it like the card catalog in a library. If there's something he needs to find, right onto Google. It's just like going through the card catalog.
Wow.
And he finds, pages of things that he can look at. And I lose him for hours.
Just in Google.
Yes, just in Google. Yeah.
That's fun.
So, he's learned the advantages of using technology for academics.
Cool.
So.
See, we're going to teach him. We're going to teach him yet.
Oh.
So, if you out there in the world, but tell us what your homilist had to say and get in on our last word by, again...
Or if you are a homilist and you said something particularly brilliant this weekend.
We would really like to hear from homilists. Now, the only problem is I'm not going to get on their case only because...
No, not going to get on their case.
Even though they only work a day and a half a week.
We're just saying we would love to hear from some homilists.
We most certainly would.
Because that's what we're kind of talking about.
Right, and do not listen to the folks at Catholic Weekend.
And because...
Not sqpn.org.com. Because we do not have a running list.
We do not have a rating system.
Anybody.
No.
Okay.
We do not have a rating system.
I have to keep needling them about that.
We just want to spread the word
exactly.
In whatever way we can.
That's what.
And I am, at least Joanne, at sometimes is going to different places, but I am pretty much stuck where I am because I'm the music director.
There you go. They let you out of the cage every once in a while.
Every once in a while, they let me out of the cage.
Not as often. But
not often.
Out of the cage, so okay. All right, speaking of cages, let's move to the next one. And talk a little bit about liturgy and rituals with... All right, this week was a big week in Fall River, Massachusetts. They got their new bishop.
Yay!
Bishop Edgar DeCunha.
Very happy about it.
Installed as the 8th bishop, I believe. It's the 8th bishop of Fall River. Okay, I've been through 1, 2, 3, 4. This is my 5th one.
The 5th out of the 8th. All right.
That I've been alive for. Conley, Cronin, O'Malley, Coleman, and now DeCunha.
Wow.
So.
And they've only had 8?
They were only made a diocese in 1904.
Oh, okay.
So they're just a little.
I was going to say, how old are you?
Really, not 100. Not 100. Let me tell you, the first 3 bishops were there a long time.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, because the first bishop, I believe, was Stang.
Oh. Must be Fian somewhere in there.
Coyle, I believe, is in there because Coyle was a bishop, and then, what's the third?
What about Fian?
Fian, there's the other one. Either Stang or Fian were the first one.
Because that's where my son teaches.
Yeah.
Bishop Fian.
Those were the 3. Because Cassidy was an auxiliary bishop.
Okay.
And Gerard, we had a Bishop Gerard High School, and he was an auxiliary.
Mm.
So there've been a couple of auxiliaries in Fall River. We haven't had one in years.
Yeah.
Connolly the last one he had, I believe, was Gerard. So, I believe that was the last one. We haven't seen one since.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was nice. I was able to watch it thanks to Catholic TV and their non-commentary, because I heard through the grapevine, i.e. Facebook, that anybody who was watching our local station was getting, like, whiplash from hearing all the commentary. So I went to Catholic TV because I wanted Father Reed, I love him. If he was commenting, I'd be fine. But I was kind of hoping they were just showing the feed, and they were, because I happen to know most of the players. As a lot of the people I saw in the cathedral, I knew personally. So it was
the bishop sitting behind Bishop D'Acunha while he was preaching was the bishop just before we had the one now. It was Bishop Mulvey.
Yeah, Bishop Mulvey was there.
He was sitting right behind.
Yep, Bishop McManus was there.
McManus was there. Sal Matano was there.
Oh, I didn't see him.
Yes, it's because he's short. No.
Oh!
Well, he is short. What can I say?
Let's just rewind what you just said. Okay. Let's go back. You gotta be careful. We're live.
Well, I'm not lying.
I know he's short, but it was nice to see. Those of you who don't know, I was cantor at St. Mary's Cathedral, St. Mary of the Assumption Cathedral in Fall River for 10 years for Episcopal liturgies, for this high stuff. And I knew most of the gentlemen that were there, and it was not to see them like years older now made me a little freaky. But it brings back a lot of memories of doing that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I just like to watch and not have the commentary.
Yeah.
So it was kind of nice, but I'm wickedly impressed with the new bishop. I'm glad he still plays soccer, which is nice. Yay for Portuguese men playing soccer. And I think he's going to be a breath of fresh air in a diocese that has needed to have something kick itself in the pants, only because they're at a point where there are more churches than almost soon will be more churches than clergy.
Mm-hmm.
They have not done well in the vocations as well as they should, and I think a lot of the men just are tired, and some of them have died earlier than they probably should have. And I think there needs to be an infusion, and I will make this one comment, so I will get feedback from folks in Fall River, I'm sure now.
Yeah.
But I said something when he went to, my husband and I were watching it afterwards. I was showing him, he said, "What is the installation?" I said, "Well, here's the installation."
Yeah.
Bishop comes, the group of consultors, diocesan consultors, comes to the door. They process up the aisle. The bishop's on the other side of the door. Okay, and they meet right there, and he venerates a cross, and he, sprinkles folks, and then they bring him down the aisle. Okay, they sit him in a different place while the, installing cardinal, and it was Cardinal O'Malley, which I thought he was great. When I was sitting here, it was so hot. I figured if I could get through this. I got to remember, he's now my big boss, so I got to be careful. Yeah. I love Cardinal O'Malley, trust me.
Yeah.
But he was saying it was so hot that he thought if he could get through the installation, he could get through anything. And he was, so you have him, and he does some speaking, and then Archbishop Vigano came and read the papal statement, which is actually called the Papal Bull. I know everybody giggles when you hear the Papal Bull.
Yes.
So, and then once he reads it to the assembled, the chancellor of the diocese, who is a lay person in Fall River now, which is a way big step, takes the official document, walks it over to the consultors. They look at it to make sure it's got the papal seal on it, and then once that happens, the installing cardinal and the Archbishop Nuncio bring him, the bishop, to the cathedra, which is the chair. underneath his coat of arms. They give him his crozier, and he sits down. Once he sits down, he's installed. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the entire installation ritual. Now, I made a joke to my husband. I said, "Did you hear that low rumble when he sat down?" I started looking around. He said, "What do you mean?" I said, every Irish bishop underneath the cathedral just rolled over. Because in a diocese of about 60% Portuguese immigrants, we finally got a Portuguese bishop. Okay, he's Brazilian, we're fine.
Yeah.
You know, but we got a Portuguese bishop, which I think is it's about time. And he speaks Portuguese, Spanish, English, and Italian.
Yeah. That's
so
amazing.
He's gonna be well. They're gonna love him. I really do. They're gonna love him as much as they loved O'Malley, because he could speak their language. And it's not that nobody loved Bishop Coleman, because they did love Bishop Coleman. But again, if you can speak their language, automatically you break down another barrier.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a good thing, especially when you're still dealing with immigrants.
Yeah.
Still coming from the Azores.
Mm.
You know, or Cape Verde, or, you know, they're still coming. So it's kind of nice. I was really thrilled. And again, I got to see musicians that I knew, musicians' daughters, who were actually the cantor.
Yes.
I was like,
Madeline's daughter.
Second generation. I was like, oh my goodness gracious. Was I that young ever?
Yeah.
Because I was that age. I did it in my 20s. I was hired when I was 20, and the last one I did, I think I was either 29 or 30.
Well, and Lizzie is Madeline's youngest, so.
Yes, I know that. I know. So it's
good God.
So it was a great day of rejoicing in Fall River, and I wish Bishop D'Acunha and the entire diocese, my birth diocese, you know, ad multos annos.
Yes.
Multos, sorry, didn't pronounce that correctly. Ad multos annos. The Latin for many years of prosperity and goodwill and graces and blessings, because I think this will open up a new era for Fall River.
I hope so.
I hope so too. Now let's go to another Monday. Let's go from the really great thing in rituals to a really sick thing in rituals. Oh. We have to bring this up. We were going to bring it up 2 weeks ago. We kind of benched it, and now we're bringing it in again. Somewhere on Facebook, one of our friends called attention to us that I couldn't remember where at this point, but somewhere in the Midwest. The Midwest, and
there's always somewhere in the Midwest.
And sorry, Midwesterners, I hate to jump on you like this. Some funeral parlor is offering drive-through viewing. Think about that for a second. Drive-through viewing.
I would just as soon not think about it.
My first reaction was, and you're too lazy to get out of the car.
Yeah, really.
Seriously, you can't get out of the car.
And you don't have enough respect for the deceased to get out of the car?
You know, here is my one thing here is my one exception that I think it would be useful for. Okay? And I think it's if you have somebody who is an invalid to whom moving them out of a car and upstairs or up an elevator, you know what I mean, would be more of a problem. Okay, fine. You know, there I could see the one use for it. Other than that. Car.
Yeah.
And then what is there? A little bank slot so you can put in your card?
Yeah.
You know, I mean.
And you get 3 minutes.
That's it?
That's it. I read it down. You get 3 minutes to view.
And what do you do?
You don't even get to speak. You don't even get to speak to the family.
You put another quarter in if you want to leave.
And you view for 3 minutes, and you drive off.
Get out.
Yeah.
I forgot that.
Isn't that awful? It's just awful.
What I'm seeing, and correct me if I'm wrong, we're seeing ourselves separating ourselves from the reality of death.
Oh, big time.
You know, we're so desensitized by what we're viewing in movies and in video games and stuff like that, that people think that when you shoot somebody they'll get up.
Yeah.
You know, later on because they show up in another show or, you know, and now we're doing this as well. I mean,
Yeah.
closed caskets are one matter, because I know a lot of people want closed caskets or cremation, and they don't want to be viewed. My mother didn't want to be viewed. I totally understood that. But not being in contact with the mourners either drives me nuts, because it's that human embrace, it's that human touch that we all need in times like that. And basically you're taking it away from them by doing a drive-through.
Yeah. You know, you're not ordering a Big Mac, for crying out loud. It's
You are, and you are correct.
you know, it's just awful.
That doesn't sound appealing now.
It's just awful. An awful idea. A really awful idea.
It's an awful idea, and to my friends who are funeral directors, don't adopt it, please.
No, don't even think about it. Don't even think about it.
Please don't. That just sounds freaky. I'm sorry.
And we have, as you say, Joanne, our society has sanitized death to the point of, you know, we can't deal with it.
Right.
You know, we can't even deal with it. You go into the funeral home and you see a body beautifully laid out, beautifully made up, beautifully coiffed, surrounded by banks of flowers, and it's just we've taken a step back from the whole death experience.
I agree. As one who watched both of her parents take the trip home, like, right up in the face, I will say that to me, seeing them afterwards, you know, laid out in very coiffed manner, was comforting.
Yes.
But only after walking through the valley.
Yes.
With them, okay, and like no one saw my mother. The only three of us saw my mother, and I had wished everybody had. Yeah. Because she looked so good. Yeah. Seriously, it almost looks like she was 10 years younger. And I was glad.
She was peace.
Yeah, she was, and that was it. But having walked the valley, I couldn't appreciate that.
Yeah.
You can't really appreciate it. My cousin, who had seen her maybe a couple of weeks before, and I was not going to get her there that night because it just was too much for her, and she had just been ill, remarked, you know, she looks so good. And I was glad that was the last image that my cousin would have. You know, and my husband and I both had this last image to carry us. However, I always have the other images. Right. You know, and that's why I'm you know, I look at this and I say, folks, we need, as far as death is concerned, I mean, this death is not the end. If we're believers, death is not the end. Right. But we have to pay respect. Yeah. Not just the deceased, but to the people that are left behind. And if you sanitize it too much, or you don't have liturgy, and you just take them to the cemetery, and you don't invoke God's name anywhere. Yeah. You know, because this is what's I don't know if you're finding it in your church, but a lot of children of older parents are not having funerals because they don't want to deal with it. They don't want to deal with it. But their parents would have wanted it. We have, I can, and I'm not going to, but I could tell you several stories, heartbreaking stories, of people who were in church every week, sometimes every day. And they passed, and their children had them buried out of the funeral home. Yep. Exactly. And it's heartbreaking. It really is. Right, because they don't. Because you know those people, it would have meant a whole lot to the community at St. Thomas, where they were every week. It would have meant a whole lot for us to gather and have the funeral liturgy for them. Right. But you couldn't because their family didn't want to deal with it. Yeah. And then you get the funeral home. We want to just have a little service at the funeral home. No mass. Okay. I'll send the deacon over to do it. No, we don't want any deacon. We want the priest. It's like, well, if you don't want mass. Right. The deacon can do it. The deacon can do it. I can do it if you don't want mass. As a pastoral associate, I can do it. You know. So, you know. Oh, jeez.
it's all kinds of, and we're way off the tracks again.
No. We're on topic, but I think it's another show. After the wedding show, we'll do the funeral.
We'll do the funeral show, okay.
You know, and that we'll just go through every one of the sacraments and sacramentals and just walk right through it at some point.
Jeez.
But we will move on because we got to touch these next ones now, kind of quickly. So can you hear me now? It's our lovely technology and evangelization section. Oh, and I shouldn't have hit that one. All right, whatever. You know I'm going to talk about the iPhone.
Yay!
And
Joanne's got her iPhone.
Joanne here, the lovely Joanne Mercier here, has an iPhone 6.
Woo!
Not the 6 Plus that bends in your pocket. Now, I put this in my pocket. This is about as big as an iPad. That's lovely. It shows the screen, too. This is about as big of an iPhone as I could buy.
Yeah.
Okay? It has nothing to do with my hands because my hands are big enough to hand it one-handed. I know some people, even this is kind of big for them. But I do have pockets and small pocketbooks that I need the phone. So it has to fit. I took one look at these. I ordered this. I picked it up. No mess, no fuss, no lines for me. Because I've done the line thing. I've done my line thing. Never again. But I did, when I was in there, I did take a look at the 6 Plus. And as much as I like the gadgetry of the 6 Plus, that it's a little bit different, it's a little bit bigger, the camera is better, and when you go sideways, it will move the whole thing sideways, like an iPad does.
Ah.
It's kind of cool.
That is kind of cool.
It's really kind of cool. But I'm happy because I have it blown up. You should be able to, somebody out there saying, wait a minute, it's supposed to be 6 rows. Yes, it can be. But I'm old. I want to see it even better. And I went with 5 rows. If I just zoom the whole thing, I can see my 5 rows. I'm good.
And you can see what they are.
Right. And I've got my little fingerprint.
That's cool.
I love that. I would have gotten a 5S. If I didn't like this, I would have gotten the 5S because I wanted the fingerprint reader specifically for the fact that when I'm in the car and I want to open it up, I don't want to be sitting there punching numbers in because I have a larger code. So just putting my fingers on it and getting it to open is a beautiful thing. The only issue I have with this is not with the phone, but with the iOS 8.
Yeah.
iOS 8 has a command now, and if you say, "Hey Siri," it will open up. So, but it has to be plugged in. Okay, you have to have it on power because if you had it open all the time, it would drain your battery. So in the car, I'll plug it in, and I'll say, "Hey Siri," and it will wake up, and I'll tell it what to do without having to touch it, which is really nice. Here's the bigger problem. If you're listening to a podcast and they're showing off the Hey Siri version, your phone stops and goes, and the Siri. Anytime somebody says Hey Siri and your phone is plugged in, it will wake up.
Go on.
Apple, could you fix that, please? Because about 5 times on the way home, I think it was Friday night, I had to keep hitting it so it would go back to the podcast because they kept saying, "Hey Siri."
Oh, jeez.
So it's a lovely, if you're just trying to decide whether you want a 6 or a 6 Plus, I would say at this point 6 is going to do it for you.
Mm-hmm.
A 6 Plus I think is overkill unless you don't want to use an iPad anymore. Because it really could be an iPad replacement. If you've got an iPad mini, you'd be better off with the 6 Plus. Okay, seriously, as long as you're not putting it in your pocket and bending it. Because remember, this is aluminum. This is actually an aluminum product. And aluminum is one of the bendable metals, apparently. And it will bend.
Yeah.
I would rather see it bend than blend, but it will bend. So... what did that just do?
Oh.
I was wondering what that did. So, no, see, it's aluminum, folks. All right? This is aluminum. So, do yourself a favor and get the 6.
Yeah.
If you're off contract and you want to get your iPhone now, I like it. Hopefully they will not go any bigger or get rid of this size.
Yeah.
And I haven't, because I've had so much to do the last couple of weeks, I have not had a chance to look too much into iOS 8. Have you found anything? Because I know you said you ended up.
Yeah, I am. A couple of things on my iPad were a little funky. On my desktop, I'm fine. I'm assuming the desktop has iOS 8 on it.
No. Desktop does not have, and it's going to be called Yosemite.
Yosemite. Oh, okay.
Yosemite Sam.
All right. So I put it on my iPad, not my iPhone though.
Okay.
And it's got a few bugs in it, but I can't put my finger on what they are, except that there's programs just close.
Some programs, and you've got to know that some apps right now have not converted themselves to iOS 8 yet.
Oh, okay.
So those are the ones that are having a lot of problems. It's not iOS 8, it's the
apps that have, okay.
It's the app developers that haven't gotten to fixing.
Well, that's basically the only problems that I've had, really.
Right, has been that?
Yeah.
Not too bad.
I haven't really had much of anything else.
My iOS 8 hasn't connected to my car right yet, but
I haven't even tried that. See, you're way more techie than I am.
Well, it's only of all the
things. You're way more knowledgeable about this stuff than I am.
All the things I've needed in the last week, I've needed to have my phone going through my car. My Bluetooth on my car, because I'm answering phone calls while I'm driving, and returning phone calls from people who are trying to still register. And so that's what I need. And half the week I had an earpiece in because it wouldn't go through. And then it updated. It finally did. Now I don't know how long that's going to last, but we'll wait and see. But
I have the capability in my car.
Well, then we should.
The Kia Soul has the capabiliity.
Well, then we should look into it.
I don't know how to do it.
I'll come over and show you how to do it.
Okay.
I actually have a day off this week, so.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm kind of psyched. But what you should know, boys and girls, is that if you're going to be an early adopter, as we are, as I am anyway, if you're going to be an early adopter, then you got to know these things are going to happen. You're going to have funky little things happen, and it isn't going to be perfect, and
yeah.
So that, but this was like
they'll iron it out in the long run.
Yeah, but this was like the last week I needed any of that to happen.
Yeah, well.
That was the only thing.
Yikes.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna skip our what's the buzz because we're running a little long, but we do have a little bit something in the big fun category. This is our free for all category where we come up with something we want to talk about that's, totally off the rails, totally not anything to do with anything, and Linda came up with it.
Well, it's...
Go ahead, Linda.
You can't turn the TV on without seeing political ads, all right?
Exactly.
I don't know what's going on in your state, in your town.
Yes, we're going to go into...
But in little old Rhode Island, we have some very interesting political races that the entire country has got their eye on.
Of course.
We have, first of all, as the mayor's seat in Providence is open. And there's a gentleman who has been the mayor of Providence for years and years and years and years.
On and off.
Because a couple of times he's had to leave the office in handcuffs. So this person has finished serving his term for his latest felony, and is now running again for mayor of Providence. Yep. And all signs point to the fact that the brilliant people of Providence will elect him again, which just blows my mind.
Yep.
It just blows my mind.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Mm-hmm. We don't live in Providence.
No, I can't vote for the mayor of Providence.
Thank you.
But my pastor can.
Well, that's true.
The church is in Providence.
Yeah.
And it's like, I just don't believe that people will put a twice convicted felon back in political office.
One for racketeering.
Oh, jeez.
One for racketeering.
Yeah, one for racketeering.
Yep. So this is the way it goes in Rhode Island, and I knew the minute he announced that he would run again, I just looked at my husband and said, well, they're going to elect him.
They're going to elect him. I can't, it blows my mind. I can't.
It doesn't surprise me at all. I'm sorry.
I can't even wrap my mind around it.
You know what? You just got to.
Let it go.
Yeah.
You have to.
Well, I'm letting it go because I don't even live in Providence.
Exactly. We don't live in Providence, but we do live in Rhode Island.
State of Rhode Island, yes.
And the second race now everyone is watching is the one that is bothering me the most, and it's because one of the gubernatorial candidates, who is Catholic,
and most vocally Catholic, yeah,
has received a huge endorsement from Planned Parenthood and has said publicly that if she becomes the governor of Rhode Island, she will work to repeal the partial birth abortion law.
Ban.
Sorry.
So that you can once again perform partial birth abortions.
Exactly.
Which,
and
again, blows my mind.
And I will go out on the limb right now and say this is the person I went and voted for in the primary. For her many other attributes.
Yeah.
Because she has, in her time as state treasurer,
yeah,
has done some really great things, to help out the state in times of crisis, and she's been a leader and someone we all thought could really work. But here's my bottom line. When I will weigh all these things. I knew she was pro-choice, as are most of our Catholic. Most of our Catholic politicians in this state are pro-choice. Don't ask me how that works, but they are, and I pretty much weigh that with what other things they've done. But when you come out and do what you and say something like this and say you're going to work toward it and say that you have strong opinions and say that you're going to push your strong opinions, well, you know what, honey? I don't have to push your lever.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
Just lost my vote.
Yeah, mine too.
Lost my vote.
Mine too. I just can't in conscience vote for somebody who is going to do that.
Not at all. You would have been wise to have said nothing.
And especially in a state that is at least nominally mostly Catholic.
We don't vote as a Catholic bloc here. If
we don't.
We did, our politicians would pay more attention to us, but we don't. We vote however we feel. Usually, and I'll go out on a limb on this, by unions. Okay, and I'm the daughter of a proud union member.
Yep.
Union member for years. And now it's all the union vote. And she was the one who was she was the one who was standing up to the unions. But I can't pay her price.
No.
I can't help her pay that price.
I can't either.
Not with this. So she just lost my vote. And as far as anybody else I would tell, I'd say please don't vote for her. I feel terrible, but I just can't. I
can't either.
Nope. No, not going to do it. I didn't think it was going to be this. And the funny thing is we have not seen another ad from her since the primaries.
Yeah.
There were a lot of ads in the primaries, and now it's almost like...
They've even taken her picture down in the Catholic high school from which she graduated.
Yeah, and you know what? It was nice to hear on the evening media show. I won't call it news because it's not. Stream.
Evening media show.
Media stream. That one of the students just said, no, we take ourselves serious as Catholics, and if he's not following, then her picture shouldn't be up there.
Yeah.
So we're teaching this generation apparently correctly as to what to do. And yes, we all have to follow our consciences, but we all have to be informed. She just informed me right out of her vote.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you know.
Once again.
Sometimes you can say what you need to, you know, and again, if she tries to do course correction on this now, I don't think she can, unless she gives back the money to Planned Parenthood.
Yeah.
You give back the money to Planned Parenthood, I'll think about voting for you again.
Yeah.
Because maybe, just maybe, you're open to a different opinion. But if you're not open to a different opinion and you're going to hide behind, this is all about women's health, bull crap. It is not women's health.
That's right. No, it's not women's health.
It is not. I'm sorry.
In most cases, it is not women's health.
No, it's not. So that's the end of that. And we better leave it there, because I think that's the best place to leave. Okay? So, again, if you want to leave us feedback, that would be great. And if not, what can I tell you? We'd really like to have you leave us some feedback. But thank you for being with us. Whoa, and that was really loud.
That was interesting.
It was good. Thank you for understanding about last week. We hope to have the gang back with us this coming week. But until then, for Linda Reed and myself, Joanne Mercier, thanks for watching. God bless, and ciao for now. Bye-bye.